Heya Cryptozens, it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. My name is Nikodemus, and welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. And welcome to your weekend, if you celebrate such a thing. It's 10 p.m. on Friday, January 20th, 2023. Genesis filed for bankruptcy protection in New York. It filed multiple cases with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of New York. The company is owned by Digital Currency Group. Genesis asked for these cases to be handled together. In the filing, it said that it owed more than 100,000 creditors between $1 and $10 billion. The other companies that filed have assets and liabilities of around $100 to $500 million. The top 50 creditors of Genesis are owed over $3.5 billion. This includes Gemini, of course, Cumberland and Marana, we're going to talk about them, Moon Alpha Finance, and VanEck's New Finance Income Fund. This information was published on Thursday. The companies are part of Genesis's crypto lending business, and they were affected by the collapse of Three Arrows Capital and FTX. Now, specifically, it was Genesis Capital, which includes Genesis Global Holdco, Genesis Global Capital, and Genesis Asia Pacific that filed for bankruptcy protection. However, Genesis Global Trading and other trading entities will continue to operate. DCG also said that its other subsidiaries, such as Grayscale Investments, Foundry Digital, Leno Group Holdings, CoinDesk, and TradeBlock Corporation, will continue to operate as normal. Genesis Global Capital said in the filing that it hopes that there will be money left over to pay the unsecured creditors during the restructuring process. I don't have any faith that that's going to happen. After FTX collapsed in November, Genesis Global Capital had to stop customers from withdrawing their money. This negatively impacted customers who are participating in a yield product offered by Gemini Exchange. Genesis attempted to raise more money or to make a deal with creditors. It and its parent company, Digital Currency Group, were under increasing pressure to fulfill $900 million in locked deposits. Gemini Exchange's CEO, Cameron Winklevoss, tweeted that bankruptcy is a step to recover assets. And he also threatened to sue DCG CEO Barry Silbert over repayment of the loan. This tweet comes after Winklevoss had a very public dispute with DCG on Twitter over the loan, as his exchange was also facing difficulties. Last year, Genesis hired an investment bank to help with funding options. Now, even before FTX damaged Genesis, Three Arrows Capital caused losses worth hundreds of millions of dollars for the company. Earlier this month, Genesis announced that it was cutting 30% of its workforce. And while we've known for some time that bankruptcy was a likely outcome, it wasn't a given. But now we know some of the decision-making process that got us to this point, because Genesis Capital said that it was not involved in the Genesis bankruptcy filing. A group of independent directors made the decision to file for Chapter 11. DCG said that Genesis had its own team to manage, legal counsel, and financial advisors. They also appointed a committee of independent directors to handle the restructuring, and it was that committee that decided to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. DCG and its employees, including board members, were not part of the decision. DCG confirmed in a letter to shareholders that it owes $526 million due in May of 2023 and $1.1 billion under a promissory note due in June of 2032. They also said that they will address their obligations to Genesis Capital during the restructuring process. Additionally, they announced that they will stop paying quarterly dividends to save money. Genesis faced problems after they stopped clients from withdrawing money in November. They said this was due to market turmoil caused by the collapse of FTX. Later, they revealed that they had $175 million stuck in an FTX account. But not everybody's on board with this. Cumberland and Marana Ventures said Genesis Global's bankruptcy filing was not accurate. Actually, they said it was misleading and incorrect as well as sloppy. Jonathan Allen, the creditor contact for the fifth largest claim, said that the filing is sloppy and has inaccurate information. And remember, Marana and Cumberland were both on the list of the top 50 creditors to Genesis. Now, Allen is a managing partner for Marana Ventures and is listed as the contact for Marana Corporation's $151 million claim. He said on Twitter that Marana Ventures is not a creditor and has no exposure to this, and that much of the information, including the amount, is incorrect. He also said that Marana Asset Management and Marana Ventures are two separate entities under the Marana investment arm. Sean Tan is listed as running Marana Asset Management, which is described as one of the largest proprietary digital asset portfolios. Bybit's CEO Ben Zhao said on Twitter that Marana is the investment arm of Bybit and that it only manages company assets. Marana Ventures is listed online as a venture partner to Bybit and BitDAO. Zhao said, quote, "Client fund is separated and Bybit earn product doesn't use Marana." He also said around 121 of the $151 million were collateralized positions that had been liquidated. Cumberland also said that the filing contained misleading and inaccurate information. The firm said that it paid down a Genesis loan from $18 million in November to just over $46,000 by surrendering its collateral. They also said that they've established no further borrows from Genesis and have no additional exposure. Genesis Global Capital is the top creditor of FTX and its affiliated companies, owing $226.3 million, according to that court filing we were talking about earlier. That's the revised list that shows the top 50 creditors. Now, most of the top 50 creditors' names and information are not revealed, but Pulsar Global Limited, a Hong Kong-based crypto trading firm, is the 12th largest creditor. They have a claim of $92.9 million. An individual creditor is 14th on the list with a claim of $91.1 million. Wintermute, a Singapore-based crypto market maker, is also on the list at the 29th position with a claim of $33 million. And speaking of FTX, we've got some pretty wild news on that front. 3 men crashed their car into a barricade outside the home of Sam Bankman-Fried, according to his lawyers. They said that the men got out of their car and told a security guard at the home, "You won't be able to stop us." Okay, people, don't do this crap. It's dumb. I know people lost a lot of money on FTX, but this is not going to do you any good. In fact, it could end up hurting you. Now, lucky for them, the 3 unidentified individuals were able to drive away before security could get their license plate. A news report said that the incident highlighted security risks for Sam as well as those connected to him. Now, remember those 2 people secured his $250 million bond? This is one of the reasons that they used to justify keeping their names out of the press. Now, on the other side, lawyers representing media outlets argued that the public's right to know the identity of Sam's guarantors is more important than their privacy and safety rights. They also mentioned that since Bankman-Fried has close ties to wealthy and politically powerful individuals, not disclosing their identities could undermine public trust in the U.S. government institutions. In December, Bankman-Fried was brought to the U.S., and on January 3rd, he pled not guilty to 8 charges of fraud and conspiracy. He remains under house arrest at his parents' home in California until his trial on October 2nd. And staying with FTX here, a judge in Delaware has allowed Sullivan Cromwell to represent FTX debtors in the bankruptcy case. The judge said that there was no evidence of a conflict of interest despite objections from 2 FTX customers. FTX paid Sullivan and Cromwell $8.5 million to work on 20 cases. Ryan Miller, the FTX general counsel, used to be a partner at Sullivan and Cromwell. Also, Tim Wilson, an FTX lawyer, used to work as an associate at that same firm. Sullivan and Cromwell will not look into matters related to itself or its former associates and will let another law firm handle those issues. Dan Friedberg, the former compliance chief of FTX, filed a last-minute declaration against Sullivan and Cromwell on Thursday. The judge said that the declaration was full of hearsay, innuendo, and rumors, and that he will not allow Friedberg to testify via Zoom because he did not appear in person in Delaware. Now, one guy who's been kinda at the edges of this FTX thing is Brett Harrison. Harrison, a former president of FTX US, is starting a new cryptocurrency software company. He raised $5 million from investors such as Coinbase Ventures, Circle Ventures, and Anthony Scaramucci. Harrison's new company, Architect, will create trading software for big institutions to use in the cryptocurrency market. He hopes that Architect will help restore people's trust in trading in this industry. Harrison left FTX US before the company went bankrupt under Sam Bankman-Fried's leadership. FTX US was one of the 130 companies under FTX Group that filed for bankruptcy in November. Harrison explained on Twitter that the reason he left the exchange. He said that the problems in his relationship with Sam started 6 months after he joined. He said that Sam showed total insecurity when faced with conflict. This whole thing speaks well of Harrison and people's confidence in his abilities, because investment in cryptocurrency companies decreased in the last half of 2022. The failure of FTX and its impact on the market has made it harder for companies to raise money. According to Bloomberg, Harrison originally planned to raise $10 million for Architect at a valuation of $100 million. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged Abraham Eisenberg with stealing $116 million from Mango Markets. They said that he manipulated the Mango token, which the SEC considers a security, which is a problem for the rest of the crypto space, but that's a different story. Now, Eisenberg was arrested in Puerto Rico and will go to court in New York. He also has charges from other government agencies, the DOJ and CFTC. The SEC is still investigating other people and companies related to the case. They said Eisenberg stole $116 million worth of crypto from Mango Markets starting on October 11, 2022. He allegedly used one account to sell crypto and another to buy it. He also made big purchases of the Mango token to artificially raise the price. Now, Eisenberg's actions did cause the price of Mango to go up on Mango Markets. He then borrowed money and took out $116 million worth of crypto from the platform. He took basically all of the assets that Mango Markets had, according to the SEC. And in more SEC-related news, Nexo will pay $45 million to various government agencies. They were charged by the SEC for not registering the sale of a product called Earned Interest Product. As part of the agreement, they will pay $22.5 million in penalties, and they'll stop selling the product to U.S. investors. They will also pay an additional $22.5 million to settle charges made by state authorities. The SEC said that economic realities and not labels are important. They said that crypto assets must follow federal securities laws. In 2020, Nexo started selling a product called Earned Interest Product in the U.S. This product allowed investors to give their crypto to Nexo in exchange for interest payments. Nexo marketed the product as a way for investors to earn interest. The SEC said that Nexo used investors' crypto assets for their own business and to pay interest to EIP investors. Nexo agreed that they would not violate the Securities Act of 1933. They did not, however, admit or deny any guilt. Costa Kanchev, co-founder of Nexo, said that a clearer regulatory landscape will soon be established and companies like Nexo will be able to offer their products in the U.S. in compliance with the law. He also said that the U.S. will continue to be a leader in innovation. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. We'll see you tomorrow night.